Welcome to the third installment of Rebel Rant. So first off, I just want to say that this is going to be my final video on the current situation, unless something significant changes. So, as you might be aware of, there have been other situations with other certain companies attacking YouTube channels, issuing DMCA strikes, and attempting to take down those channels just for talking about their game. And I can't afford to say their names because a DCM strike at this point would destroy my channel before it's even had the chance to begin. So that's how serious these situations are. They have wide-ranging consequences that can have a drastic effect on people's lives and livelihoods. Now, some people might roll their eyes at this. They might think that it doesn't affect them. It has no impact on them. But sometimes the consequences aren't always so glaring or in your face. And what happens to one of us has the potential to happen to all of us. And speaking as an American citizen, the Constitution matters in all aspects of our lives. And this includes entertainment. It includes rest and relaxation, what each and every one of us chooses to do with our free time. As you guessed it, this applies to gaming, including games such as Galaxy of Heroes. And the reason I'm touching on this is because after having, heard and read the arguments over the last couple days over this ban on AhnoldT101, it's something I feel like I need to expand upon and stress on, if only for the sake that it needs to be talked about. If people don't agree, that's fine. But in my opinion, it still needs to be said. So, one of the key aspects of this ban is that it falls down to the terms of service. Now, the acceptance of TOS by the average person and being applied by these companies has been an ongoing long-term situation. Now, what people need to understand is that just because something is widely accepted, it doesn't mean that it's legally justified. And whether or not this stuff has been taken up in the courts, I honestly don't know. If it has, maybe they'll... Yeah. Let me just say that I've had my own experiences with legal battles, and even when I was 100% in the right, I had hardcore evidence that what I was saying was true and that I was my rights were violated. The entrenched system didn't care. The system that was in place, and we're talking about the US legal system, cared more about protecting these entities than they did about protecting my individual rights. So I know from firsthand experience that this happens, and I'm not the only one. I know other people that have been in similar situations and they've had their rights trampled all over. So I'm very confident in my argument. Terms of service do not supplant individual rights, especially as an American citizen living under the Constitution. So let me expound on that. The game itself is the property of CG/EA. That is their property. Yes, there is no argument about that. They can do whatever they want with their property. However, here's the crux of it. Your account, when you create that account to play that game, to gain access to that game, that account is your property. It's your information, and with most games, there's going to be money exchanging hands. It may be an intellectual property versus a physical property. Make no mistake, that account is your property. CG cannot log into your account and play the game with your account. Why? Because that account is your property. If that account was the property of CG, their employees would be completely entitled to log into your account at any time for any reason. But they can't. Because the simple fact is, your account is your property. These arguments that always fall back to the terms of service, that is the default argument of anybody supporting bans like this against AhnoldT101. And the usual argument falls into two categories. One, that the account is the property of CG, which is a lie. And for the reasons that I just explained. And the other excuse is that transferring ownership of the account or sharing your account is somehow a security issue for CG or EA, which is a straw man argument. So, number one, security is always an issue. There's always a security issue. And that the fact that there's a security issue is not an excuse for violating your rights, violating your property. And number two, sharing your account with someone is not a security threat to CG. The only person that is taking a risk is you. That is your account. You are the person shouldering the responsibility of sharing your account with somebody else. If your account you share your account with somebody and they do something bad with it, CG, EA, they're not going to suffer for it. It is not a threat to them. The only person that is at risk is you for sharing your account with somebody else. So those excuses are straw man arguments, and by their very nature, they are wrong and they are false. Now, personally, I don't share my account for anything. I'm not that trusting of a person, and it's personally, it's just not worth the risk. Somebody might have the best of intentions. They might make a mistake. Yeah, the whole sharing of account, it really goes back to the beginning of gaming. Now, to give you an idea, I remember when Pong first came out. I was just a kid, a tiny little kid. But I remember when the Pong game first came out, and it was huge. People were excited about it. My aunt bought a Pong system. She shared that system with us. My family played it for hours, and we enjoyed it. We had fun together. It was a great social family experience. Why? Because she bought it. That was her property. She shared it with us. And gaming has evolved to the point where in many instances there is no physical property. That property is very much intellectual, digital in nature. So while the physical aspect of gaming has evolved and changed, make no mistake that it is still your property, even if you do not have a physical cartridge or disc to hold in your hand. This is something that people really do not seem to understand. And, this is just me trying to put this argument out there in the hopes that people will start to think about it at least. Now, while I personally do not like to share my account under almost any circumstance, I support your right to share your account with somebody else. And if you want to transfer ownership of your account to somebody else because you don't want to play the game anymore for whatever reason, you have that right. I might end up in that boat someday where I don't want to play anymore, but I don't want to let my account, all those years of playing, of putting resources into the game, including real money, I don't want to let that just die and wither on the vine. If I want to have that option to transfer that account to somebody else so that somebody else can enjoy all of that time, all of those resources that were put into it, as is my right as an American citizen under the Constitution. So this So, you know, if people don't agree with this or they don't care, that's fine. That is their right. And I'm not gonna sit here beating people over the head with it. So, you know, that's why this is my third and final video on the topic, unless something significant changes. So, I've had my say, and I stand by it 100%. If you disagree with me, that's fine. If you're offended by it, that's fine. I will not apologize, and I will not retract my statement. So, with that said, hope you continue having fun, whether you pay for the game or you're free to play. Whatever decision you make from here on forward, that's your right. That is your decision to make. So, keep having fun with the game, and hopefully, if nothing else, these videos have given you something to think about. I'll see you in the cantina, recruit. This is Rebel Squadron out.